steering directly attached to the front axle, while a bell crank arrangement was used to steer the second. It was also anticipated that with 4 wheels at the front rather than 2, braking would be improved. This actually turned out to be more of an Achilles heel than a bonus, with the team making...
Yeah, would braking be improved? I didn't even think about that. Braking would be an interesting point. I don't know if that necessarily would be improved. Even though you have more tires up front, they're so small. Can they really bite down, right? I have to say, as weird as this is, and quite frankly, as I would lean more as like ridiculous as this is, I have to say I applaud Formula One for this exact reason, is that you have so many variations, you have all these different experiments and wild ideas that get put into motion literally. I think it's very cool that they constantly try to evolve and push the envelope. That's one of the most exciting aspects of the motorsport, in my opinion.
Making numerous changes in an effort to improve braking throughout its service. The other problem they had was the car's wheelbase, which would either be shortened or lengthened if one axle became unloaded or locked up before the other. This made driving and setting up the P34 especially difficult, and due to the wheels being much smaller at the front, they also went through more revolutions than their larger counterparts at the rear of the car.
Right.
So this overall had a significant impact on the tyre's lifespan, a problem that was further exacerbated by Goodyear's improvement of the rear tyre and lack of development of the small front tyres that only Tyrrell was using.
Gotcha.
During this period, Giorgio Piola had unprecedented access to the car and takes up the story. It all happened by pure coincidence as I was flying out to Rio and ended up sitting by Ken Tyrrell on the flight. In life you need to be good, but also lucky. So Ken knew of Giorgio's work and asked if he would be interested in doing the press kit for the car, which meant he could get a lot of information and take a lot of pictures of the car. It was some of my best work. I was very attached to that car, said Giorgio, as I had a very good relationship with Tyrrell's chief designer, Derek Gardner. I did 3 big cutaways of the car, an incredibly detailed top view that Derek helped me with.
Dang.
This top view of the P34 is one of the most difficult drawings he's done. Piola explains that with his usual cutaway drawings you can use tricks like putting bodywork over an area you're not sure about and want to obscure. Cheeky. It was different with this overview drawing though, as it was open and had to be extremely accurate, with everything precisely where it should be, even down to the position of the pipework. As Piola says, for me it was one of the best drawings I've ever done, but no one would publish it at the time as it had 32 annotations. This was too much detail and not something that could be published in a magazine at that time. Due to it being a huge hand-drawn illustration, the arrows and numbers simply couldn't be removed. The work has been subsequently digitised, but let's reimagine how it was originally intended to be seen. Number 1, adjustable aluminium splitter. Number 2,
Number 3,
air ducts in the front.
Number 4,
Number 6,
number 5,
I think you get the general idea.
Yeah.
The P34 did have its moment in the sun, taking victory.
Yeah, this car, like I said, but this car in particular, it's just too crazy. I mean, it looks just absolutely... I don't even know what word to use. It just looks ridiculous. That's the only word I can think of right now. It just is goofy. And I can't believe it was real. I actually can't even believe it. When I saw this suggested to me a couple times over the past couple months, I saw the screenshot of this car. I just didn't believe that this was real. It looks goofy. Like I said, it looks like something like a weird mod from a video game, or it looks like something... from like a cartoon, like some exaggerated villain's car or something. Like, it's just weird.
At the Swedish Grand Prix. But their biggest issue remained as tyres continued to hamper performance.
Especially seeing it next to a more traditional car when it comes to the wheels, at least. You still the big difference between the front and rear tires in this era. The rear tires, I can't get over how gigantic they are in relation to the front.
The lack of development from Goodyear inevitably led to the downfall of the project, and the P34 was withdrawn from service following the 1977 season, and 6-wheel designs were subsequently banned.
Wow.
While Tyrrell's foray into this solution had prompted the team to add an axle at the front of the car, several other teams had seen an opportunity to do similar at the rear. One of them being the March 240. Having seen the Tyrrell P34, Robin Hurd of March started his own 6-wheel project, but unlike the Tyrrell, his design would have 4 wheels at the rear of the car.
Oh my god.
2.
No
He used
way.
the 240 as the car's designation, with 2 lead wheels, 4 driven wheels, and 0 trailing wheels.
So this was four-wheel drive. I mean, technically it was a little different than we would usually think of four-wheel drive. This is just ridiculous. The big fat wheels are the ones you want, right? I mean, yeah, you only got two of them, but they're like a mile wide. So you got a lot of footprint on the road. This is just goofy. It's like taking something simple and making it overly complex for really no benefit. Like, what's your benefit here? It's just way too much going on.
The car garnered a huge amount of interest, with the car appearing on the cover of Autosport a couple of times. The first after a soft launch by the team, which was designed to try and entice sponsors to the team. March was facing a financial crisis and in need of a cash injection, not only to keep the six-wheel project alive, but also keep the team racing. The 240 put extra financial pressure on the team, given it was having to design and build previously unraced components, rather than just pluck them off the shelves as they and many of their competitors did.
Right.
The overall concept of the 240 was sound, improving traction, grip, and reducing the aerodynamic load, owing to the narrower rear wheels that would usually be used at the front of the car. This also dealt with one of the limiting factors of the P34, the lack of development of the smaller front tyres only they used, which Goodyear couldn't fund development on. The financial burden that the team was under led to compromises with the design of the 240, with some of the planned structural improvements to the gearbox needed to handle the stresses involved not undertaken.
Yeah.
This led to some torsional issues and negated some of the gains that would otherwise have been made.
Right.
As a consequence of these mounting financial and technical issues, the car never raced, and a modified 761 took its place that season.
No kidding.
Good ideas have a good way of coming full circle though, and later on Williams gave it a go themselves with a six-wheeled version of their FW08 in 1982.
No way.
This was mainly because Williams was unable to acquire the current performance differentiator that helps teams like Ferrari and Renault, a turbocharged engine, so they decided to try and get their unfair advantage another way. After all, more wheels equals more wins, right? A few years down the line now, with the ground effect in full swing, the ability to place the narrow wheels further out would allow the Venturi tunnels and bodywork to be lengthened and widened all the way to the rear of the car, resulting in a significant increase in downforce while making the sort of gains on drag reduction that Robin Herd had experienced with his 240. It's clear that Williams' design took advantage of the groundwork done by March a few years earlier, and
boy, what a weird era in F1. I mean, this doesn't even like look like an. I mean, it is an open wheel race car, which there's tons and tons and tons of open wheel racing, right? Different leagues all across the world. So it looks like an open wheel race car. It just, to me, it doesn't look like an F1 car. Right.
And had even enjoyed some of the knowledge that Hewland had gained while designing the gearbox for that project. But just how Williams had taken the Lotus 79 and engineered a better version of that concept for the FW07, the idea behind the six-wheeler was to improve on that initial March concept. Clearly having an extra axle and set of wheels at the rear of the car means the car would be much heavier than the minimum weight they were allowed to run to. But with a massive increase in downforce, this was immediately offset. Williams put a huge amount of effort into converting the FW07 to test out that theory, and even planned on racing the FW08 in that guise. That is until the governing body banned four-wheel drive, which had proved to be even more infuriating for Patrick Head when he was told by Sir Frank Williams that he'd agreed to it in a meeting with the other teams at Maranello. Patrick Head's attempt at a six-wheeled machine would have been a massive step forward for Williams, with the car reportedly a handful of seconds quicker than its predecessor. But alas, it wasn't to be and was shelved without having turned a wheel competitively.
Jeez.
So while Tyrrell actually raced and won with a six-wheeler, Williams was the closest to following in their footsteps. But there were others that tried designs out too, including another 240 configuration for BRM, and Ferrari with its rather unique twin rear wheel single-axle 312 T6. This only adds to the mystique of an era of Grand Prix racing where it seemed like all you needed to do was able to dream a little bit bigger than your competitor.
Right. Very odd era indeed. I would say that mid-70s, early 80s. Just wild stuff going on. I mean, that seemed to be the theme around the world in just a lot of things. That was crazy. It looked like fun, but very wild time to be alive. In a lot of different avenues, I reckon. This is no exception. This is just super weird, and I'm just not surprised it didn't work out. I mean, like I said, I think cars, of course, there's room to make experiments and make tweaks and changes, but it's within this reasonable guise, right? Like this is way past the line of responsibility